There we go. All right. Going live on YouTube here in just a second. Well, good afternoon to you folks. How are you? Hope you're enjoying your lunch. We're just sitting back. Welcome to the Friday Crazy Gibberish live stream. I am your handsome, humble, hairy host, Bill Sylvie. Good to see you, ladies and gentlemen. Good to see you. G'day, 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 as my Australian co-host Kyle Shuan says. So, I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are, doing whatever you're doing. I'm just kind of kicking back. Adam Black, good to see you there on the stream, on the chat. Had a lot of fun yesterday. Had a lot of fun last night. Played a little one-shot horror game. Well, it was intended to be a one-shot action horror game, but actually I think the players want to come back for a second helping, and that's just fine. So I'm not going to give away too many details. Not going to give away too many game details because occasionally my players do watch the live stream, and I don't want to tip my hand. They were quite insistent that I not spoil the game. So, well, it's over. We said we were going to do this as a one shot. I can, I can just tell you my grand plot ideas here. We can call it a day or call it a night. And they were no, just we'll finish it up. So might wrap it up in one more session, might wrap it up in two more sessions. We'll have to see how it works out. But briefly, what I did for rules is kind of interesting. I basically, I was just like, I honestly thought it would be a one-off. I thought it would be just a one-shot night. So I took like the core AD&D rules. I did 46 drop lowest to range to taste for the stats. And I said, it's set in the 1980s. The characters are FBI agents. If you're getting a little X-Files vibe, maybe go there, maybe I don't. But I just said you got 12 hit points. When you get to 0, you're dead. Your character is dead. And firearms do 1d6 plus 1 damage for a handgun. We didn't get up to like shotgun or M16 levels at all. But I did that to model that basically like getting shot is really, really deadly. So if you take any kind of lethal damage like that, roll under your con, or roll your con or less on a d20, or else, you're staggered, basically. You don't get to do anything the next round. If you take half your hit points or more, all the way down to one remaining hit point, roll under your con, or you are unconscious and bleeding. And if you get reduced to 0, there ain't no con roll. You are just dead with a capital dead. That I think pretty accurately represents the, gunfire. You get shot with a bullet, there's a chance it could, like, you go into shock and you're unconscious just right then, right? And I think that's a pretty fair way to approach it. So, anyway, sorry, just responding to a message there. So basically, yeah, I just had a quick and dirty system. I didn't bother with skills. I just based everything on stats. When it came to combat, a 2-hit roll was a d20, and I just figured everybody would hit as a 3-hit dice or third level character, and just a few little other odds and ends. Like if it came to fisticuffs, and it did, I'd give a bonus for strength. A dex bonus comes to to shooting somebody with a firearm, and I added a sanity system. Basically, it's wisdom times 5 equals character sanity, because it's a horror game, right? So that's what I did for the game. They had a lot of fun. Um, but yeah, that's what we did. It was just an ad hoc rule system that I created on the fly, and they seemed to like it. But I used D&D as the core. I used D&D as the core, um, and it worked really well. The guys had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun, and it's going to lead to a game that picks up. If you're interested, by the way, if you'd like me to like type those up, that this is literally a one-page rules system for horror adventuring. I think I will type those up. I think I will type those up, and I'll share them with you guys if you want. It's not quite as lightweight as the index card role playing game, although you could put your characters on an index card. So that's what I did last night. That was last night's game. And before I get too far down, I do want to mention, as always, this live stream is brought to you by Hellebard Games, my friends over at Hellebard Games, publishers of my module SAA1, Temple of the Sun. They have a few print copies at hellebardgames.com, so you can get an authentic. Now, this is for the Osric rule system, and I think yes, Osric and Castles and Crusades. But it is based on an adventure module, a free adventure module that I wrote for a convention that is set in Greyhawk. Obviously, you can't sell a book that's set in Greyhawk without Wizards of the Coast permission. So we made a few changes. We kind of tweaked a few things here and there and released Temple of the Sun as a standalone module. And they have a few print copies at hellebardgames.com. And this has, it's not poorly bound. It's actually got the classic D&D cover with removable, with the blue maps and a little bit of artwork, color art on the inside. That's something TSR never did. Color artwork on the inside of the module. That's pretty special. So go grab yourself a print copy. If you want a PDF copy, you can get that at DriveThruRPG, and you can apply the code. You can apply the coupon code till December 15th. Get a discount on this. The Dungeon Delver 1. I'm sorry, the Dungeon Delver 01, not the Dungeon Delver YT. That link apparently doesn't work. But you can get a PDF copy there, and you should check out all of the Osric offerings. If Osric is your jam, they've got stuff for Castles and Crusades, obviously. If you want like a D20 system, but much lighter, that feels a lot like old school D&D, whereas Osric is an AD&D thing. So check them out. And our other sponsor is, of course, my good friends over at Bards of Greyhawk. I haven't played Summer Mountains, the track that they wrote, the intro music they wrote for the channel, in a long time. So I may play that on the outro today. It is a beautiful piece of music written by Rich and Jeremy over at Bards of Greyhawk. You should check them out. I know they're on YouTube, and I think he said they're on Facebook, but they don't have a site set up yet. I was sharing the Bards of Greyhawk link with you guys, but I'm guessing that's not working anymore. Rich said, hey, we're setting new things up. But you should really check them out. They have got such a great sound. It's like a classic rock sound. I came to them and I said, hey, or rather, they came to me and said, you should have an outro. And I said, I don't know how to play music. And they said, well, we'll make you one. What do you like to listen to? And I'm like, well, I like Zeppelin. I like the Almonds. I like, here's some tracks I like. And they came back with a beautiful piece of music. So, I think over the holiday vacation, I'm going to be working on finishing up the channel trailer. So we'll have an intro and an outro for the show that you guys can watch and listen to and really get a feel for that wonderful music. So those are our sponsors today. And let's roll on. What are you guys doing gaming wise? Myself, I have a miniature to paint up before Monday. I have a Gorgimera mini, which I was talking about yesterday. I didn't realize that Pacesetter Games no longer made miniatures, or they no longer sold miniatures, or something. So ages ago, I bought the Gorgimera mini because, there's Chimera minis, there's Gorgon minis. But for playing in S4, if you want a real terror to set down on the board, like, oh, look, there's a Gorgimera. Here's a Chimera, but one of its heads is not, the goat. One of the heads is the bull. Just go with me on it. No, they actually made a miniature for the Gorgimera, and then I guess they just kind of disappeared down the memory hole because I haven't seen or heard of any of those minis, which I'm really glad I got when I got, because they have they have TSR Lizard Man style minis. And what I mean by TSR Lizard Man style minis is if you have the old AD&D or old AD&D Monster Manual, for a brief period, they were using a logo that was a lizard man standing in profile. And wouldn't you know, there was a sculptor who made minis like that for TSR. They are to basically give us promotional items to stores and whatnot. I don't know if they ever sold them in the Dungeon Hobby Shop back in the day, but I do know that that Pacesetter Games made reproductions of them. Well, they're different. They were a little smaller. The Lizard Man has a comb on his head rather than just the smooth head of the Lizard Man that TSR sculpted back in the day. But yeah, so they sold those for a while, and I was like, gimme. So I've got a couple of those awaiting paint, along with 100 other minis over on the shelf over yonder. So I was quite happy to be able to get my hands on one of those, but unfortunately, it looks like they're no longer made. Similarly says, finish reading Children of Dune. Pretty crazy. I need a breather before reading God Emperor or something more grounded. Yeah, I read Children of Dune and was kind of disappointed. I mean, you come off, you come off of Dune, and I don't know. I wasn't in love with it. I mean, I appreciate that there's a larger Dune universe, a Duneverse, if you will. But I think at the end of the day, you can get just as much out of reading Dune without diving into Children and Messiah and Chapter House and so on and etc. And you should absolutely ignore any of the Brian Herbert books that he wrote with basically the same stable of writers who were writing those, dime a dozen Star Wars books that were so popular back in the 90s. I just say take what you enjoy from Dune and just go with that, and know that it was, I mean, imagine reading the Fellowship of the Ring. Now, I know Tolkien wrote the whole thing as one book, like in one go, the manuscript, and it was published in one book in the UK. It was broken up into threes in the United States, but That's for another time. But imagine you read The Fellowship of the Ring, and then the next two books are just kind of very generic fantasy. It's not really much different from any pulp sword and sorcery that you can get your hands on, instead of this wondrous book that is the latter 2/3 of the Lord of the Rings. That was the level of the disappointment I felt when I read the first book after Dune. And hello, Damien. If I didn't say hello to you, I apologize. Hello. Similarly says, not touching Brian Herbert. No worries. Yeah. I read House Atreides. I read House Atreides, and I wish I hadn't. It's not a good book. No, sir. It's not a good book. So I'm not just picking. I'm not just saying, ooh, well, that's new, and I'm not going to. No, trust me. I read it. It's not a good book. That's what, when people say, give me grief about edition warring or whatever. Back in the day, I played 3rd edition and 3.5 and Wheel of Time and D20 Star Wars and a whole bunch of D20 back in the early 2000s. I know from where I speak when I say it wasn't great. I've even played some Pathfinder. Although I will say I had a great DM in the Pathfinder game, and it was completely gonzo. It was not, I didn't look at it as Dungeons and Dragons. It was in a custom campaign world created by the DM, and it was a Roll20 experience, and it was completely over the top. I didn't think, well, this is a bad substitute for D&D. It was fine for whatever it was. Now, if you want to ding me for not liking the edition that came between 3.5 and the current edition of D&D, because I didn't play it, you're right, I didn't. I read enough of the books. I did read the rule books. So trust me, that is not going to happen. But you know what is going to happen? Something that I'm leaning towards. And I'm not going to enact this until after the first of the year. Don't just put down your dice. Set your pencils down. Relax. I'm going to play. I'm thinking, in addition to the Tuesday AD&D game, an equally educational Friday Gamma World game. First edition Gamma World, that is. As written by James Ward. But that I will probably put in the evenings. Friday evenings. Live streamed, of course, here. So, if after the first of the year, after January, again, settle down, be quiet. It's not happening yet. After January, if that is something that you think you would be interested in trying out, if you think that you'd like to play some first edition Gamma World, leave comments down there in the comment thread or under the video or over on Discord or out on Facebook. Just put it down in the bleep bloop there and let me know if you'd like to play some first edition Gamma World. And I'm looking for anywhere from 3 to 5 players. And if you're interested in that, we'll do it. We'll do a live stream Gamma World game. Now, I don't really have official Gamma World miniatures. I don't... Did Grenadier do Gamma World minis? I feel like they did. That's something... Let me see. But then, sci-fi minis will do the trick. And fantasy minis. Looks like Google's liking that. So let's see. From the Lost Minis wiki, we've got Grenadier models released the Gamma World range around 1979. They incorporated various older ranges into the Gamma World line, including the Star Soldiers and a John Carter Warlord of Mars range that they failed to get a license for due to Heritage having the rights at the time. Later, much of this range was also incorporated in their fantasy releases. Very interesting. So yeah, I mean, Grenadier was able to just kind of throw things together. So, oh yeah, we've got some robots, and we got some primitive tribesmen, and we got some mutants, and yeah, we're good to go. So this is all something you could have. You could probably just take whatever you've got on hand and roll with it. But anyway, so anybody got any gaming plans for the weekend? Because I know we're running up on Thanksgiving, which brings up something interesting, and I did want to mention this. I will not be streaming next Thursday. A Monday game wrap up. Might have to do that next Friday. But next Thursday, yeah, I'm going to be busy. I will be, I'll be busy enjoying some turkey and some other deliciousness. So that is going to be my my Friday. Now, or Thursday of next week, rather. Now, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, probably much the same. But I'll be running around doing a whole bunch of stuff. Don't expect me to do one of those, oh, look, Bill went 90 minutes today kind of things. I got to keep it tight. But I'm not going to do what I did last year, which is just kind of disappear sometime in mid-December and not stream for 2 weeks. I'll keep it steady for you guys. Definitely keep it steady for you guys. So we don't have that long until Turkey Day, guys. And we don't have that long until Christmas. But I will keep on keeping on. Never fear. Oh, excuse me. I'll be to yawn at you guys. But I'm doing it anyway. My own podcast is boring. Live stream, whatever. But I am going to game next week. I will be gaming on Monday night. And we'll be gaming Tuesday afternoon here on the show. And we'll have a normal live stream with Kyle and I. Insofar as anything Kyle and I do is normal. Yeah, and we'll go from there. We will proceed apace, as they say. We shall proceed apace. Oh my goodness. So what else is happening with you guys? Anybody have any questions for me? Anybody want to talk any D&D stuff? Any D&D related questions? Just fire them off. Go ahead. Ask. I'm right here. Anything you want to know that I haven't previously discussed? Just let it fly. Damien says, I just hope my Monday game isn't canceled for the third week in a row. Why is that happening, Damien? What keeps going on? That sucks, man. I've had a couple of weeks where it was like, when the group was small, before the group ballooned into the 12-person caravan through the dungeons that I have now. Yeah, I would have nights, weeks, where just nobody would show up. Because of various reasons. I can honestly say I never just got ditched. Nobody ever just like, fuck you, I'm not coming to your game, Bill. But, when you've got 3 players and 2 of them can't make it, player 3 probably doesn't want to do a solo adventure. I did have that a couple of times where, it's like 4 players, 2 of them couldn't make it. The other 2 were like, yeah, no, let's play D&D. So, we'd play a little D&D. Or 3 players, 2 of them couldn't make it, and the one was like, well, let's play some D&D. And that person got experience and had an adventure and got treasure and stuff like that. So that, that's what we went with. Are you the DM of the game, Damien? And the or are you a player and the DM cancels? Inquiring minds, you have piqued my interest. You most certainly have piqued my interest, sir. And I should like to know. And while we're waiting for Damien to respond, or not, as the case may be, that's a situation that can happen where, let's see, first week 2 guys couldn't make it. Second week DM was dealing with back pain, just a player. Yeah, I mean, yeah, if I could have all 12 people ready to go on a Monday night, and if I can't make it, there's no D&D game regardless of how many people I've got. But that's just life, unfortunately. How many players have you got in the game, Damien? Let me ask you that. And have you thought about asking someone like, hey, Bob, our DM, can't make it tonight, but we're all here. Does someone want to run something else? Think about that, or play a board game. That's why Hero Quest is so great. You could play Dungeon, you could play Hero Quest, Space Hulk, just some kind of board game just to keep things going, So you go to a restaurant, hey, our soda machine, the Sprite is busted. Well, get something else. Get a Coke. Get an orange drink. So that's just a few things you can do to help keep your game going. You can do those things. No reason to let your game languish. So I recommend, Damien, if you're feeling lucky, if you're feeling like you can step up and run something, reach out to your DM and say, hey, I understand you got this issue with your back. If you can't make it, would you mind if I ran like a solo game or something like that? 5 players plus DM in the Exalted game. Well, there you go. 5 players in DM. DM can't make it. That's still 4 guys. That's a game master and 3 players. Run a quick and dirty OD&D game. That's what I would do under those circumstances. Were it me, and I was ready to game. Hello, Banjo Destructo. Welcome. So, I gotta ask about your handle. Do you destroy banjos? Greetings, Chris. Or do you really shred on a banjo? Some of my favorite banjo music of all time has got to be the banjo that plays in I'm not sure if it's a banjo or a mandolin. I'm pretty sure it's a banjo in the song Ty Cobb by Soundgarden. I love that track. It is just badass, and there is some thrash banjo on it that just has to be heard to be believed. But Damien, what I would do is I would just, if none of the other players will, and you really want a game, volunteer to run something. If your DM can't make it, if your GM can't make it, or voluntold somebody in the group, hey, you're going to run the game for us tomorrow, Ian. Wait, what? Yeah, you are going to run the game. So I would do that. That would be my recommendation. Chris snuck in there. Hello to Chris. Anyway, for those of you just getting here, I was saying a few minutes ago, after the new year, not now, settle down, not now, but after the new year, on Friday evenings, I'm probably going to start running a live stream first edition Gamma World game. So if you'd like to participate in that, we'll do it over, we'll do a live streamed first edition Gamma World experience. We'll go via Discord. It'll be a lot of fun. Again, probably won't have a lot in the way of minis and terrain. I might. You never know. I mean, hell, I've got Space Hulk. Underground complex, underground bunker complex, Space Hulk right there. Can set that board up. Banjo says, I'm still quite poor on the banjo, but I took it as a nickname some years ago and combined it with my love of Guar to make Banjo Destructo. Very cool. I approve. Did you guys know that there is a Guar tabletop battle game along the lines of 40K? Rather, let me roll that back. There was a Guar tabletop miniatures battle game. It is out of print and commands ludicrous amounts of money on the used market. I remember seeing it. I wish I'd grabbed one that I could then flip and sell. But I remember seeing that back around 2000 in a comic and game store here in the Orlando area. And I was like, well, tabletop games are over. That's it. They're over now. It's ended. Goodbye. Move on. There were a lot of interesting properties at that time, too, that stick out in my mind. There was a Babylon 5 fleet action game. And then there was a ground game for it, too, called Gropos, which was... The term Gropos in Babylon 5 speak, every science fiction show has this thing, Frack from the new, well, I say new, it's like 14 years old now, Battlestar Galactica, but Babylon 5, the Gropo was Ground Pounder. Yeah, it's almost a role-playing game. But like I said, it's really expensive. So yeah, there was a Babylon 5 like tabletop war game that wasn't just spaceships. It's like we never, if guns came out, it was usually like 2 or 3 people having a shootout in the corridors in Babylon 5. They were never like massed armies charging each other. Babylon 5, A Call to Arms from Mongoose. Yeah, the fleet action game was, or the space combat game, I should call it that, was A Call to Arms. And the ground supplement was, again, Gropos for Ground Pounder. But also, and this is interesting, this goes way back to like the days of DOS gaming. There was a series of games from Sierra called Earth Siege. And the Earth Siege series, the Dynamics team had done the first Battletech game for Activision. And then they got cut loose when that game didn't set the world on fire. And so they went over to Sierra and they took all of their knowledge of how to make stompy robot games. And they started the Metal Tech, they started the Earth Siege game. And then they had Earth Siege Arena. Then there was Earth Siege 2. Was it Earth Siege 2? It was Star Siege. It was either Earth... No, it was Star Siege. It was Star Siege. Which spawned kind of some interesting side games. There was... there were 2 or 3 squad-based RTS games also released. And then Tribes. If you remember the Tribes games, which were team shooters, team first-person shooters. No giant robots involved, but it was all set in the same shared universe. Well, eventually, in the late 90s or early 2000s, there was a tabletop game released. And I remember what I found so fascinating is the base rules set was a box set that came with miniatures. And I thought this was the weirdest little touch I've ever seen. It included miniatures. The bases of the minis, and even the ones that were sold outside the set, the bases of the minis came pre-flocked. Yeah, it was the strangest thing. If you don't know what flocking is, if you've ever seen a mini that, like, you know, it's all painted up and everything, and it looks like they're standing on gravel or loose stone or grass or leaves or something like that, that's called flocking. And you can flock pieces of terrain, too, to make it look like grass is growing there. And the minis for Star Siege, the board game, came with a flock already on the bases. They were already mounted on bases. I don't know if the minis were pre-painted, but I do know that they were pre-flocked, and I thought that was pretty strange. Damien asks, what do I think of magical foci weapons where a magic user channels their magic through the weapon as opposed to somatic or verbal components? For example, Marvel Thor's Mjolnir. Kind of like the idea of grabbing Boris Karloff movie The Raven, where they were using items to channel their spells instead of just casting them. I don't know. I would have to see it play out in a D&D game. I feel like it is kind of sort of a little bit built in to D&D already in some ways. Like, let me think. There are a few magic items that make you better at doing certain things magically. The Robe of the Archmage, for example. Staff of the Archmage. You could make the comment that the Brooch of Shielding maybe is like that. I don't know. I'd have to see it in practice. Is the idea that something bad could happen to a character's belongings and leave them incapable of casting a spell. I don't know. As a DM, I can think, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. But then as a player, that would irritate the crap out of me. Like, I would not be pleased by that at all. So, on the one hand, but on the other hand, I think as a one-off item rather than just like a blanket restriction, like you have to have a rod or a ring or something like that. I think that better suits a literary trope than D&D. But again, I would have to see how that played out on the tabletop before I would just say yes or no. But the player's got to suffer, right? I would probably use this item has X number of spell levels it can cast per day, which can be used to cast these limited spells. So kind of like a ring of spell storing. Like a ring of spell storing, I think, is a good one. And you make it magic user only. Well, in the case of wands, like you might have a first level magic user who gets his hand on a wand of fireballs. Now, a magic user can't cast fireball, but a wand of fire or just a wand of fireballs can. Or a wand of anything that a magic user cannot normally cast. If they're a magic user and they get their hands on it, they can absolutely cast it. You know, a wand of magic missiles, any class can use a wand of magic missiles. A thief, a cleric, a fighter, a ranger, a monk. Yeah, definitely. I mean, a dual class character, fighter, magic user, with a wand or two that are magic user only, he would not be restricted wearing magic armor to employ that item or any other magic user only item. It's only the casting of spells, not the operation of a wand or a ring. A player could maybe make the argument that a magic user scroll might be usable while in armor. I would have to, I don't know. I'd have to dig real deep into that. But yeah, you know, a wand. I mean, think about that. If you are a fighter magic user and you go to a high level magic user and you're like, look, I will let you copy all the spells in my spell book if you will make wands of these spells for me that I can use. He pays the price, then he's able to function in combat as a magic user and as a fighter. I think that is a fine way to do that. I think you could definitely do that. That is something I would allow. I would gladly. Yeah, and it would let them use a sword and armor and whatnot, but you wouldn't have to get rid of Vancian. You know, when they wanted to recharge it later, they'd have to remove all their armor and then cast the appropriate spells into it, and it would have to be spells that are rechargeable. No wand of permanency. you know. But I like that idea. I like the idea of a fighter magic user with wand or with wands of magic user only spells, but still able to wear armor, both mundane and magical, and employ magic in the battle. That's a pretty good idea. I didn't think about that before. And having thought about it, yes, I would definitely allow the player in question the opportunity, the ability to do that. Could also make foci weapons require a ritual with hefty component costs to build it. Yeah. I mean, I would almost say that would be so unique. It would be like, here's your focus weapon. You can't cast fireball without this sword. But if somebody kills you and takes a sword, it doesn't enable them to cast fireballs. It's unique to you. And in being that you're creating a unique item, the material costs and the ritual for casting, for creating it and everything would just be through the roof. You go look at enchant an item and just, start from enchanted item and permanency and go from there. Like limited wish or alter reality has to be cast into it too. And all the age penalties that go along with that, and potential losses of constitution permanent that go along with that. So yeah, it's something you could have a lot of fun with. It's definitely something you could have a lot of fun with. I wouldn't disallow, if a player came to me and said, I want to do this, I wouldn't disallow it out of hand. I would not say, no. But I wouldn't just like say, okay, all right, you can do that. I would have to think about it. That would all, the creation of the item itself would almost be a role-playing thing. And you think about Thor in the Infinity Wars, you know, having to go get a replacement for Mjolnir made. Like, that was a whole little tiny plot arc. Had to open up the portal that was to suck the energy off of a dying star to help forge the new sword, or the new battle axe hammer dealy. But yeah, I would definitely consider such a thing for my games if one of my players approached me about it. Attention players, don't approach me about it. Oh gosh, so yeah, I've got a few things to do before Thanksgiving, before Monday. Hell, paint up that Gorgamera. I will have Dwarven Forge set up for the Gorgamera fight. It just started. If you guys remember, I was telling you about it yesterday. The Gorgamera fight just started. So I'll set up some Dwarven Forge cavernous stuff. I'll have and there goes the light. Hey, it made it 47 minutes, 15 seconds today. I think that's that is a new record, given how awful that light's. Maybe Santa Claus will bring me another studio light. A studio light battery, maybe even just that. But I will get that mini painted up. I will have the terrain out, and I'll share pictures with you guys over on the Discord. Oh yeah, we have a Discord channel. We have a Discord channel, and you're all welcome to come over and participate. Let me just copy that for you. QSAT, absolute Q Baker Street. Q Baker Street. So if you wanna come and join us over on Discord, you're absolutely welcome to do that. It's a lot of fun. If you've never used Discord before, come on over to Discord and check it out. It's kind of like IRC, but the user interface is a little less wonky. And that's a permalink. You should just be able to hop on over and say hi. So yeah, you can do that. And you can ask questions like, if you come up with something that's just like, oh yeah, hey, I was going to ask Bill a question. Damn it, not on the live stream. You can ask on the Discord, and I'll answer your question there. So I'm generally a pretty nice guy about it. So anything else? You guys get anything else? I'm about ready to get out of here and start trying to clear out a space in the fridge to thaw turkey and everything else. Yeah, every year, like 1 year we're like, oh, okay, yeah, we thaw this thing for 3 days, it'll be fine. Nope, railgun ammo. So then we said 4 days. Ah, okay, it's nice and fleshy on the. Nope, iceberg right inside. So I'm thinking Sunday this year. I'm gonna put that turkey in the fridge. So I gotta clear out a spot for it. I gotta get our den set up, ready to receive the Christmas tree. So I'm gonna be putting that up on Thanksgiving evening. It's crazy. So I gotta scoot out of here. Um, Banjo, I'm glad you caught I'm glad you were able to catch a whole stream or most of one. Thank you. The other light just died. What the hell? Thank you guys for your insightful discussion about magic items as focuses today. Now, Damien, I want you to step up. If your DM can't make it again, run something for the group or voluntold someone that they need to run it. Don't be shy. Don't let your game lay fallow. You guys have an absolutely fantastic Thanksgiving week coming up. I will be here during the week. I know a lot of people, like, tomorrow you're getting on a plane, bus, train, because there's no place like home for the holidays, which I maintain is a Thanksgiving song, not a Christmas song. It's still a good one, and it works for both. But I think there's no place like home for the holidays. He talks about pumpkin pie. That's the Thanksgiving thing. Anyway, I know a lot of you folks are gonna get out of here for Thanksgiving, so please be safe in your travels. Have an absolutely wonderful weekend. I love you all. Thank you for stopping by. Yeah, we will see you all next Monday. Peace.